My name's Randy Johnson, and I'm so glad you're having a look at this brief video I put together as a preparation for your lesson. You know, so many times I've been asked, well, don't you just stand on the board and paddle? And I am bewildered by this, and I would say if you're ever at a rental place or some place where people just say, oh yeah, just take the paddle and go on out and get on the board and do it, that should raise a lot of red flags. There's a lot that's involved to stand-up paddling. There's a lot of precision that's involved. You can put a tremendous amount of energy into the depth of your stroke, into understanding the various foot positions, and probably the most important is to have preparedness for the different unexpected events that can come up, and then knowing what to do without making a catastrophic mistake. So again, thank you for taking the time to look at the depth of what's involved with stand-up paddling. I know recently I had a friend ask me, well, you know, don't you just stand up and paddle? And I have been practicing meditation for 40 years, and every time I do it I see just what a baby I am at it, and what a beginner, and how deep you can go with it. And I just kind of draw the parallel. Well, if someone wanted to meditate, just throwing them a cushion and telling them, yeah, just go sit down on that cushion and look at the wall, and there it is. And we all know that it doesn't work that way. Many have gone before us, have learned the skills and the techniques involved that make our paddling or our meditation or yoga, whatever the skill is we're working on, making it so that it's got a depth where it is effortless but yet very efficient. So today I want to talk about some of the things that you'll be hearing in the lesson on using your paddle. So much of it is about balance and just letting your body adjust to an unstable surface. And that's kind of a feel thing, and most people get into that pretty easy, some faster than others. But using the paddle, there's definitely very specific events that happen in the stroke, and it does involve us getting in our head. And anytime, you know, we get into our head, we can lose a sense of balance, we can lose our center. So the more you can kind of look at this and get that internalized from your head down into your body, the more success you're going to have in your lesson. So let's get the paddle and have a look at that. So your paddle is as important as your board. We have paddles that are aluminum, they're heavier, not as stiff, and then the next step up is fiberglass, a little stiffer, but not as stiff as a full carbon paddle would be. There are fixed paddles and adjustable paddles. Some of the adjustables have a little play in them, so you lose some of the energy that you're transferring. So I have a preference for a fixed paddle that would be at my height. Basically, you're going to measure the length of your paddle by putting the paddle up and seeing where your wrist comes to a bend. Now there's some variation that we'll have with that. Some people will want it maybe a little shorter for using in the ocean or in waves or rivers, but that's just a general rule of thumb that you could use. So that light, stiff paddle that you get from carbon, it costs a bit more. Your aluminum paddles you can probably find for, you know, $89, $99. As soon as you go into fiberglass, it may go up to $150 to $200, and then your carbon paddles are, you know, $250 on up to $350. All of your paddles should have a little bit of a curve to them in the blade. You can see how it bends up, and one of the things that you really want to pay attention to is that you're always pushing water from the inside of the spoon. See how that's shaped a little bit like a spoon? So if you recognize this as a spoon, if you were to put food in it and try to eat it, you'd get a lot more food in your mouth, if you were eating it by putting the food in the inside of the spoon, and if you flipped it over, well, what's going to happen? A lot of that food's going to spill off, you're not going to get as much. Same thing with water. The more you're on the inside, you're pushing more water, getting more energy. The more you're like paddling on the backside of the spoon, it's just spilling off and you're not getting the efficient use of the paddle. So, as we get on the board, remember, perpendicular to the board, we're going